Hello and welcome. Data types in an Access table. I have this table right here for comments, and I'd like to add some fields to it. In Design View, I'm going to add 3 more fields. Comment, comment date, and customer ID. When I use the drop down or the down arrow, on my keyboard, Access automatically assigns the data type short text. So let's talk about what happens here. For the very first field, Access is automatically assigning an auto number. And we can see auto number right here. The definition for an auto number in Access is it's a sequential field and it's controlled by Access. And so this is a very good field data type for a primary key. And we see the primary key over here because we want something unique in the table, and auto numbering ensures, because it's controlled by Access, that it will be a unique number. So I'm leaving that as auto number. But for the second and remaining fields, Access will automatically assign these as a short text. What's the definition of a short text? Well, to Access, that's text or numbers that will not be used in a calculation, such as a name or perhaps a zip code or a phone number. So it can be text or it could be numbers, but you will not be using it in any type of calculation. And so we see that that's the first data type in this long list of data types. The second one we see is a long text, and this will be text that tends to be greater than 255 characters, or has the potential to be greater than 255 characters, such as comments or notes. And notice that this field is for me comments. So I'm going to make mine a long text. The next one is a date, and so for me, hey, there is a data type of date. But in the middle of that is number. So let's have a discussion about number. I changed that one to date and time. And for customer ID, I am going to change this to a number. So the definition of a number is numeric data that can be used in a calculation, such as quantities or any kind of number that you might be used in a calculation. And down on the bottom here, which we haven't looked at yet, this is the General tab, the field size. When I click down here, you'll see that when I use number, it automatically assumes that this would be a long integer. When I click on this drop-down arrow, we see a series of field sizes from which I could choose. I'll leave it as a long integer right now so that we can have a discussion what this field size is in relationship to number. So because I chose a number, we have quite a few choices and possibilities from which to make this number. I flipped over to a table that I've created that defines what numbers and field sizes correlate. So you can see the default for a number is a long integer, and this creates quite a wide range of possibilities for what those numbers could be, from the negative all the way to the positive. Now, if that field wasn't going to be so varied, then I might choose to change it to either a byte or an integer. Notice these top 3 all are no fractions. So if the possibility of this field contains some type of fraction or decimal point, in other words, then I must use either a single or a double. And you can see the limitations of these two as well. So when choosing the data type and then going to numbers, make sure that when you're in Access, take a peek down at the bottom and make sure you're making any necessary adjustments down at the bottom on the General tab. Okay? Continuing with the data types after number, date, time, currency, self-explanatory, I think, monetary values, auto number, we talked about, yes, no. Thing about yes, no is the acceptable answers or containers for that field is a yes or a no. And then the OLE, object, object, linking, and embedding. Hey, that's what that stands for. And so you can link back to an Excel file or perhaps a Word document, but you're linking or embedding something back to another file. Versus a hyperlink right here, we're hyperlinking back to a web address or an email address. The attachment, this is a fairly new field in Access, first appeared in 2007, and we can attach external files. They do become a part of the database, and it could be images, spreadsheets, any kind of a document or file, even a PDF. When we get down to the calculated, a calculated field is a result of a calculation based on other fields in the table. So we can actually do some type of a calculation based on fields that already exist. And finally, a lookup wizard lets us set up properties which display a drop-down list of values for a field. So this is a really nice data type as well. So when you're setting up your table, make sure that you examine these different data types, think them through, and then also take a look at the general down at the bottom, because this will affect the size of your database. And of course, we're all concerned about the size and how efficient the database will run.